everyone. Today I am going to give you an overview of narrative writing. This video is helpful for anyone who wants to sit his IGCSE or even Cambridge Lower Secondary exam. The video will be divided into three parts so it may be easy for you to absorb or imbibe the content. First part deals with the writing tips. Now coming to what is narrative writing. My question to all of my listeners is what is narrative writing for all of you? A few of you might have answered that it is simply writing a story with limited idea about the writing tips and the structure. I'm going to give you two definitions. My first definition deals with the writing tips, which I'm going to elaborate in the later half of my of this very video. Narrative writing is to tell a story. It can include actual events in chronological order. It means events which are happening around you, or it may include imagined events. But mind you, that imagined events does not mean that these are unrealistic events. Now, continuing with the definition, or it may include imagined events told in a timeline that the author creates. Narrative writing can sustain the reader's attention and help them visualize a realistic experience from the words. I'm going to talk about chronological order and the flashback technique in the third part of the video. The second definition deals with the structure. A typical five paragraph essay which has one introduction, three main body, and one concluding paragraph. If needed, you can change the number of body paragraphs according to the topic. This will be dealt in the part 2 of narrative writing videos. Coming to the elements or the writing tips of the narrative writing. There are six elements: plot, conflict, setting, characters, dialogues, and point of view. All are interrelated to each other. One moves seamlessly into another to give birth to an effective narrative writing. We are going to consider all these six elements with one pivotal example, that is an encounter. Whenever I give this topic in the classroom, I come across with an encounter with an alien, encounter with a kidnapper, an encounter with a thief. Most of you might not have ever experienced any problem of the life like in your life. Now, why not to talk about a very simple incident which happens to many of us during the monsoon season, an encounter with a frog or an encounter with a lizard or something very realistic which happens around us. The very first element is the plot. The plot is a central incident that you intend to share in the story. It is about the sequence of events that occur in your story. Now, story is there both in the novel and in a short story. Then, what is the difference of plot? The main difference is definitely the plot itself. Because in a novel, the number of incidents is more than one. Whereas in a plot of a short story, the incident is singular. But first, we need to understand what the plot is in itself. It is not just a list of what happened, but how and why those events are connected, creating a cause and effect relationship that drives the narrative forward. Now, cause and effect relationship is a very important thing which must be noted over here, because without cause and effect, plot cannot move forward. I can give again. I will give you again. I again will give you an example of an encounter with the frog. The frog came into the living room of my house. What is this? This is simply the cause. This is a story. But when you say, this is not, by the way, the plot. But when you say the frog came into the living room of my house and being home alone, it scared me to death. This is the plot, because there is a cause that frog came into the house. What is the effect? That it scared you to death. I told you that there is a difference between the plot of the short story and the plot of the novel. In the plot of the novel, the number of incidents is more than one, where the character reacts to them, which leads to the development of the character. So it means that there is a problem, and that problem is called conflict. Conflict is the problem faced by the character during the incident. A moment of tension in the plot is considered as a conflict which needs to be resolved. But again, in narrative writing, conflict should be based upon a single incident or event. The reason is very simple. I'm afraid of frog. I freak out and I want to get rid of it. This is single incident. I can easily write 350 words on this. This is not a big deal, by the way. I'm afraid of frog. I freak out, so I want to get rid of it. Many of it will be based upon the development of the character, how the character reacts in different in while dealing with the frog. This is basically what the problem is, what the conflict is, and that is exactly the plot of the story, and that is what your narrative writing is all about. Now, a very important thing is that where is this frog? This frog is in your living room. And this is exactly what my next point is. The next point is setting. The setting is the location and time where and when the event occurs. It can be your house, your school, or any other place where you were at the time of the event. The setting lets character readers know the time, the season, what is going on around the characters that impact their feelings and decisions. This is very important. If the frog would not have been in the living room, if the frog would have been outside, you would be afraid of it, but you would not think of getting rid of it. So it means that the conflict is directly related to the decisions of the character. Now, character is, I will give, rather than moving further, I think I should need to give the example of Harry Potter over here. I'm sure there are many lovers of Harry Potter listening to me. So, what is, I can tell you that when Harry is at his aunt's place, what is he? He's a timid character who is afraid to make friends. But when his setting changes, he's at Hogwarts. What happens that he gains confidence and is ready to take action. So, with the change of the setting, the reactions of the character also changes. In the very first point it has been written that it can be your house, it can be your school. Many of you are very different people at house and different at school. Rather, you're a little naughty at school. It means that with the change of the setting your reactions also change. So the next most important element is the character. I will show you the examiner report in this regard, because with characterization is the most important thing. Characterization is something which moves the conflict forward, because what is plot? Plot is a cause and effect. What is conflict? That is the singular problem which is causing the entire thing and the reaction of the character at the same time. And setting is correlated, is directly related to conflict and to the character, because when the setting changes, so do the reactions of the characters. Now, I will read the definition first, and then I will explain you what the characters are. Characters are the people involved in the incident. It is the creation of imaginary people who appear to be real in the to the reader. But I will tell you one thing: if you want to imagine some people in your story, try to pick them from around you. It can be from a drama, it can be from your classroom, it can be from your family. So try to give information. The writer gives information about the character in the story. If you are spending more time in thinking about the features of the character, then you will not be thinking about the appropriate vocabulary to describe that character. Mind you, this is a language paper where where you are judged through your vocabulary, how, what sort of words you are using in order to dilate your character. So you have to mention every person involved, whether it's a main or side character. Do not add more than three characters. This is a very important thing. Do not add more than three characters. It means that if you are adding more than three characters, what will happen that you will not be able to show the reaction of every character in detail to the reader. And what is basically a narrative writing? It is based upon a single event, reaction of the character. It is based upon a single event and the reaction of a person or a character to that event, which actually gives birth to the plot and to the entire short story. In other words, the most important role in any story is of the protagonist. This means all other roles stem from their relationship to the protagonist. This is a very important thing to note, that characters which are used in the story should not be simply called. For example, you should not call him a boy only, you should give him a name. I'll give you an example. It's very important to use proper noun. If I say that something happened to Adam, something happened to Ahmed, and something happened to Jagjit. Immediately, three different distinct pictures will formulate in your mind, and you will be spending more time again in dilating the in thinking of the appropriate vocabulary rather than dilating the character. On other words, clear image will be formulated in the mind of the reader, and you will not be wasting time on imagining the details simply by using proper nouns. Now, no character is complete if he does not speak. So, it's a very important thing. Dialogues come into play. Using dialogues is of utmost importance. It is very important to use dialogues in your narrative essay, as dialogues help to advance the plot, reveal a character's thoughts or emotion, or show the character's reactions within the story. Dialogues give life to the story and support the story's atmosphere. Remember that involvement of emotions is at the heart of the narrative essay. No narrative essay can be written without emotions. For example, if I say that I was afraid of the frog, then the element of fear is there. If I'm timid, I will be unable to get rid of it. If I brace myself and gather some courage, then I will be able to get rid of it. It means that emotion has to be there. If you do not write the thoughts and thoughts of the character in relation to the emotions of the character, you will not be doing justice to the character, you will not be developing the character. Because if the character is afraid in the beginning to when he faces the frog, and by the end of it he is able to get rid of the frog, it means that his personality has developed, he has come up as a changed person. So it's very important that dialogues give life to the story and support the story's atmosphere. Dialogues are used to advance character development, which aids the reader's understanding and personalities of the character. If you are unable to give words to the character, the story will not be able to develop. When a character reacts to a conflict or a problem set into the story, that emotional reaction to the conflict is something which drives the plot forward. For example, right now he's saying, "Get away from me, frog." Later on, he may be able to capture it and may be able to tell his parents with pride that he was able to get rid of the frog. Now, point of view is a very important thing. Many of you struggle with it. That from which point of view are you supposed to write? The position of the narrative, point of view is actually the position of the narrative of the story and what the writer sees from the vantage point. That is from a certain point. From a certain point. If I show you two topics, write a story which includes the words, "I had a feeling I might be wrong." This is a first person narration. But when I say write a story with the title The Watch, it can be written both from the first person and from the third person. Remember, the point of view is mentioned within the topic itself. You cannot change it. If I she had a feeling she might be wrong, you can't change the gender, neither can you change the vantage point. It means that third person narration. Okay, I had a feeling I might be wrong is first person narration. She had a feeling she might be wrong is a third person narration. So you can't change anything within the topic, and point of view is mostly mentioned within the topic itself. The watch gives you the liberty of choosing both first person and the third person. I'm going to show you the marking scheme. This is the Cambridge marking scheme for 0500 first language English. Specific narrative, by the way, marking criteria. This is level 6, the highest level. The plot is well defined and strongly developed with features of fiction writing such as description, characterization, effective climax, and convincing detail. We will talk about the climax in terms of structure later on, but characterization is something which is at the heart of it. It means that plot is what is plot? It is cause and effect. What is conflict? Conflict is a reaction of a character to a problem. And who is reacting? Characters are reacting. And their reaction is incomplete without the use of dialogue, and dialogue must be there with must be described with the help of emotions. Now, these are the excerpts from examiner's report about the characterization. A positive comment is an ability to shape the narrative to produce moment of tension or drama and to vary the pace of the story were credited by examiners as essential elements of narrative, as was the use of characterization to create believable protagonists and characters. Do not add more than one or two characters, because if you do not if you add more than one, you will not be able to develop the characters. It means the protagonist or the characters will not be believable, because it is not development. You are simply hinting at the character. When we I will move on to the third part of my video, I will show you an example and the detailed characterization, and how the protagonist will become believable. It will be other than an encounter with frogs, so in order to give you another scenario, and to give you another very simple topic, how to deal a very simple topic in a very sophisticated manner. A negative comment. Negative comments are characters were identified, but there was more time and emphasis given to relating events and creating believable characters. A very important thing, G, that negative characters, the characters should not be simply hinted at; they should be developed. Lastly, G, what we do in narrative writing tips? The narrative writing tips were about six things: plot, conflict, setting, characters, dialogues, and point of view. Plot is what is plot? Cause and effect. If there is no cause and there is if there is no cause and effect thing, then it will be a story. It will not be a narrative. What is conflict? Conflict is simply the reaction of a character to a single incident. There is a problem, and how the character is reacting to it, there is a cause, and how the character reacts to it is the effect. So conflict is the major problem. It should be singular. One conflict, one problem should be there, because if there are more than there is more than one problem, the plot will convert into the plot of a novel rather than a short story. Setting is directly related to conflict, because if the setting changes, so do the reaction of the characters. I gave you the example of yourself, that when you are in a classroom, you're a different person, you react to things differently, but when you are at home, the reaction is different. So with the change of the setting, the reactions change. Characters should be believable. They should be used. There should be proper nouns for the characters, because when you use proper nouns, you immediately strike an image in the right in the mind of the in mind of the reader. But the characters should be developed with the help of the dialogues, and the dialogues is are something which should be described with the help of emotions. Point of view means that you are writing from which vantage point: first person narration or the third person narration, and a point of view is mentioned within the topic itself. It means that the topic defines from which point of view are you talking about. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Thank you for being with me.